And I'm here today. This is my second show, which I'm really excited about. And today we're going to be talking about the inner child and some of the things that we need to understand about the inner child, but also how to bring the inner child back into our lives and have fun, and how that really enriches our life. So there's so many things that actually helps us with. So hopefully you may get some insight from what Carol Ann and my wonderful host Carol Ann today, who's stepping in today for Anaya, and she's going to be with me and talking to me about all the different things with Carol Ann's wisdom too, obviously through the years.
Oh,
and I'm sure you work with the inner child.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be here, to Beth, and I'm sure it's going to be a great show because the inner child is such an important part of our lives.
It is a huge part, and sometimes people don't understand the gravity, like the depth of the inner child, and it's how it plays out in our life. You know, 95% of our actions or thoughts or words are in the subconscious, and they direct us. It's not the conscious. So our inner child is in that area, and it directs all our beliefs. We've got to find out what our beliefs are, what the emotions are, the actions. Everything is pretty well, not everything, but most things are driven by that. And the more you understand that and get in connection with that and allow it to acknowledge it, for one. I don't know about you. Did you ever acknowledge for a while that your inner child, or were you always connected with that, Carol?
Years ago, I sort of lost that connection. I'd had it from the time I was very young, but then I lost the connection. But then I connected again with my inner child, and one of the when I did my Reiki training, one of the things we did was to get to know our inner child really well, and we had to do something to show that we'd been with our inner child. And so that night I went down and I had a swing in the park and did all sorts of things. So no, and I'm fairly well connected with my inner child. Yeah,
that's great. You know, like swinging is the best thing. Like for me, as an adult, I still love to swing, and I don't know many people who don't like to swing. It's that gentle rocking, I think.
I think it's also, it's a freedom, and it's like, well, we know we can fly, and this helps us to sort of fly. And but to me, it's the freedom of just being able to swing back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so many of us, and, there's such a great varying diversity of how we connect to our inner child and what's happened in our childhood to make us disconnect. I mean, some people even can believe that their inner child has died, which is very sad. And I can identify with that. I mean, if you've been brought up, depending how you've been brought up, whether you've been abused or whatever, neglected, whatever, there's so many different ways the inner child gets lost or disconnected. So it's really acknowledging that you have one and you need to feed that. So yeah, it took a while. There are aspects that are in there, but the more you focus on it, you can see how important it is in that way. So, and particularly people who have been through very difficult situations need to really connect with that again to bring some joy into their life.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's amazing how when we're in contact with our inner child, how much guidance we can give one another. It's not just a one-way stream, it's a two-way stream. And because our inner child is so important to our development as adults and our spiritual development. And so, I truly believe that when we listen to our inner child, and that's one of the wonderful things about having grandchildren. You can go and play with your grandchildren, but it's your inner child is playing with them as well as your older child that you are now. So, I just feel very connected to my inner child, and it's a relationship you need to work on, like all relationships.
Yes.
It doesn't just happen automatically. You need to work on it.
Yeah, exactly. Being a grandparent, I think, reactivates that inner child as well. You know, if it's sort of lapsed in connection, that certainly brings it back. So that's one of the gifts of being a grandparent. It's wonderful. But yeah, it's that's the thing with the inner child. It's not a childish thing. It's a
No.
childlike,
Yeah.
and it's innocence. And
Yeah.
innocence is a different thing. You know, children, we're all, every single person on the planet, you know, from a child upwards, we've all been conditioned to think certain ways. Children come in innocent, not affected by anything. And it's through, you know, all of us around a child, we influence them positively or negatively with our beliefs and so forth. So it's getting back to the innocence of before all that conditioning. That's what innocence is about, not being naive. And
Yeah.
innocence is, you know, about lack of judgment, compassion and kindness, love, you know, all those things, and honesty and truth. I mean, truth is a varying thing, but it's being pure in without anything to colour that. And that's the innocence. And that's, as you say, the spiritual connection. And that's where that honesty and freedom comes from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And it's really, really interesting you say that about the innocence, because Marcy Kelly has written that she wasn't allowed to make mistakes and was stupid and not good enough, and at 56 it's hard to mend her. The most important thing, Marcia, is that you are aware that she needs to be mended. And when I was growing up, when I was very young, I was the first grandchild, and you know, you have to do it and you have to do it right. And I can remember only probably about 5 years ago, I had a face reading done, and the lady who was doing my reading, she said to me, "You have a very deep crease here, Carolyn, between your eyebrows." She said, "Does that mean when you were young you had to do everything right? Everything had to be done exactly right?" And I said, "Got it in one." And so, but we can all work on these things. And you know, our parents and grandparents, you know, did the best that they could. And you know, it's just up to us to recognise and to be kind to our inner child. Listen to our
that's right. Yeah, behind every callous action, sorry, I've got hair in my face. Won't go, it's right in my eye. Every callous action and unkind thing, even to the extreme, there's a woundedness then, and it's lack of love and lack of, you know, there's a wounded from the past somewhere, somehow, and things get distorted. And obviously there's varying levels of degree of how much that's been conditioned in us and what we believe. But we're here to learn this stuff. We're here to change this and find the opposite in ourselves, that love within us. So, I mean, the harder the lesson, the more, the greater the energy of power of love. If you keep at it, if you commit to it in your life, it will happen. And as you say, the first thing is acknowledging it. That's a big thing.
It is. It is a big thing. Now, to Beth, are you able to see the chat on Restream?
Not at the moment, sorry, no.
Okay, that's okay. I can see that. And Anaya is also answering it as well.
Oh, good on.
So, but it's really interesting because, where is it? Marcia is agreeing with you and I that it's all about love, love, love. And her Fae family, it's the fairies, and the angels are always there. And I just replied to her and said, well, yeah, I love working with the elementals, and that's a show I do on Enlightened World Network. And so, yes, being able to work with them is amazing. So, you know, but it's all about loving yourself and talking to your inner child, Marcy.
Yeah. You know, I'd ask, what would make you happy? I mean, we all know there's so many wounds that go on that you could take forever to work through them all, and you won't. You can get to a certain level with it of acceptance. That's the main thing, because we're here to integrate everything within it. So it's like, you get to a certain level, but you do need to work on this and understand it. If you have the understanding of what's in there and what you feel, then you can put your energy more on what would make you happy, and that will feed that inner child. That will start to heal those wounds where things weren't given to you. You know, you weren't loved or nurtured, or didn't know how to do it for yourself. There's a lot of
Yeah.
self-forgiveness, all that. If you start on that journey, you know, that's a wonderful thing. So just I had to write this out because I wouldn't remember them all. There's there's a number of different aspects of the inner child. In one way, there's the abandoned child, the neglected child, the playful child. There are some parts that are quite healthy. Then there's a spoiled child, the fearful child, the disconnected child, and the discounted child. So we've probably got all one or a few of those within us. So it's understanding that part of you. And if you can even bring yourself to look at it, I don't know, I think women may be willing to look at it more. I don't know how men would, because, you know, they're taught to look at different things and maybe not think it's something, a weakness, but it's actually not. It's a strength, because it would empower you. And the more you understand yourself, the more empowered you are in your life. I'm sure you would agree, Carol.
Yes. I you know, it is amazing, and it's funny. You know, I also agree about the women and the men, what you just said. But I think sometimes, as females, you know, you're nowhere near as old as I am, so it might have been a bit different when you were growing up. But it was always, you know, you had a role, and your role was to be there. And you didn't always have that flexible amount of time to even think about your inner child or whatever.
No.
But you know, I do believe that forgiveness is also a major thing, and forgiving yourself for feeling a certain way. But the underlying fact is that we're here to learn, and if we don't have the shadow, we're not going to know the light. And so that's always really important.
Yes. Yeah, the shadow. Yeah, we need to understand the shadow. Yes.
Mm,
And what's interesting, when you have your own children, they will mirror back to you
yeah.
how wounded your inner child is, or not, depending, you know,
Yeah.
they'll mirror all aspects that you're carrying with you that you're not aware of. And, you know, understanding your own reaction to it, if you can step back. And unfortunately, sometimes we're harder on our children because of that, and that's not fair. You need to make a conscious decision to do it differently and try and change that. So you can only do that if you really go in and look at your own inner child and work with it.
I
Yeah,
just want to read you something that Marcy has said, and I think it might be good for you to comment on it. She's made a couple of things. She said she had to, we need to let her out and learn all the mistakes that she was never allowed to learn like most kids. But she was also adopted and was very insecure, and then she never had the mother's love because the mother gave the love to her brother.
Yeah, isn't that a big journey in self-love? Yeah, it is.
And you know, this is when we sort of come to a thing like, okay, we'll stop and stand back and think about, okay, what is the lesson here to learn? And you know, that's just a, you know, that's a thing that only Marcy can do. We can't do that for her. We can be there to help her, to support her, to love her, and do anything that we can. But this is something that she has to do herself. And yes, that is self-love. It's about loving yourself no matter. Louise Hay had a very good saying: stand and look in the mirror and look at yourself and say, I love you. I love you exactly the way that you are. And you do that for a while, and you know, it's amazing the difference it can make. And to me, that was self-love.
Exactly. And, you know, I've done that myself. And looking in that mirror, and do you look away? Do you look up? Do you look down? Can you actually look deep into your eyes and say it without flinching and feel it?
Mm.
You can say 100 million affirmations, but if there's no feeling with it,
No, exactly.
long term. The main thing is you get help with it. You find ways, you commit to yourself, and that's an act of self-love.
Yeah.
Committing to your own growth and your own care.
Mm.
That in itself, you know,
Yeah.
we all go off and on, get off the direction and, you know, get back on it again. So, but as long as you keep going, you pick yourself up and keep going and don't ever give up.
Mm. Yeah.
That's what I would say. You just don't. That's how I got through my life. Just didn't give up.
And to know you're doing the best that you can. And I really think it's quite interesting. Sometimes, you know, people can look back on their childhood. I did have a great childhood, and I know that. But some people can look back on their childhood, and it's a very sad thing for them to remember. But the other thing is that our parents did the very best they could with the skills that they had. And so then it's about us stepping into this new world that we're stepping into, because every part of our growth is a new learning and a new world and a new knowledge. And so, okay, so let's learn from this and change how I am now, how I feel about myself, and that I love myself. It's a good start. And I forgive myself.
You know, no matter what circumstance, I mean, mine wasn't great. There was abuse in that, you know, quite severe in certain ways. And the thing that got me through is looking in the big picture. Like, you get caught up and going over and over the same thing, but and the pain that you're in, and it's not to not process that, but you have to keep your mind, your eye on the bigger picture of why. In the big picture, why did this happen? And try and understand that and see the learning that you're meant to get out of it. And just keep your heart in. Just the main thing is don't shut down your heart, because children's hearts are wide open. So it's like keeping that, never losing that, no matter what you go through, I would say. That's what I found. You just keep going.
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes, you know, if you're having a difficult day as an adult and you have the opportunity, okay, so if I was 5 years old, what would I do? And you know, do something silly. Go for a walk. Go for a walk. Go out in the trees, hug a tree. Look for the fairies in the garden. If you don't believe in fairies, just go out and look for the snails or the caterpillars that are going to turn into butterflies. You know, there's so many ways that we can work with our inner child.
Yes. The main thing, I mean, ultimately, children go through their own things, but ultimately they just want to have fun. They just want to play. They're in like the alpha state. They're so open, and so they see things differently to an adult, and how they view things. So they're looking around this place, and it's amazing. And so they find pretty well most opportunities to create fun and play. So it's being in that way, looking at where we live, this reality, in a different way. It's trying to look at this place as amazing, which it is.
Yeah.
But it's bringing that sense of wonder back again. Even like, I always marvel at the fact, say, like with plants and even the grass, just the fact that it might die off, like, or you can cut something, then instantly it comes back up. It's like a child would say, well, that's magic, which it is.
That's right.
Like 1 minute it's there, it's not there, and then it is. It's like something grows, and it's magic. Something grows overnight. So even marveling at that, nature is a big thing to bring your inner child back and bring it that sense of wonder and awe of this incredible earth that we live on.
Yeah.
Not another place like it for, I think, quite a long way. So there's a lot of dry and barren ones out there, but not like Earth that we know of. So this place Earth is quite incredible. So nature in itself, being amongst trees, you know that, Carol,
Yeah.
in that element, to connect with nature. It's very calming, but the trees and the nature has a very healing effect. Even the color green, that's the heart chakra.
Yeah.
So,
It's just amazing. And you know, when we associate with the angels and the archangels, especially Raphael with the green, you know, it can change so many things. But you know, when we can look at a situation with a child's eyes, if we're having a difficult time, just look at the situation with a child's eyes, and really what you're doing is you're looking at it with your inner child. And you know, sometimes you can just, I don't know about everybody else, but I find that I can feel my inner child just wanting to get out and do something, and you know, just be a kid. Just be a kid. Doesn't matter how old you are. You can
that's
still
right.
be a kid, because it's about your inner child, and they are such an amazing part of who we are. I mean, let's face it, how blessed are we to be here? It's just amazing.
It is. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I've just lost my train of thought. I was going with the nature thing. Yeah, it speaks, you know, the energy speaks to us. The more we be silent, like kids, even like they would see a lot more than we do. And see, we can get that back. The more you have the innocence, the more, you know, the illusion fades away. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And even they would see nature very differently. They would feel it differently. And like children actually see auras, even babies.
Yeah.
You can see anyone, if you look at a baby watching you, but they're looking here instead of here, you know, they're looking at your energy field.
Yeah.
So by getting back the innocence, you can do that too. Your psychic abilities, your inner knowing will grow.
Mm-hmm.
So nature in itself, I mean, gosh, who wants to, you know, when you're in nature, you just want to do things like, well, not always build mud pies, but that was fun as a child,
Yeah, it was fun. It was
you
fun.
know.
And it built our immune system at the same time.
It did. There's anything I would say with that, there's a lot more chemicals in the soil now, unfortunately.
Yeah. But you know, one of the great things you can do with children, or if you're playing as being a child, is to get some little seedlings and go out and dig in the garden and plant the seedlings or
Yes.
something like that. And then you're connecting with Mother Earth. And you know, I think that's another thing for us to think about when we're working with our inner child. If we're having a few difficulties, is connecting and grounding into Mother Earth.
Yeah. Another thing is, of course, being creative and playing. Thing about color is interesting. The color is something, children love color, and they're drawn to it. They love to play with it. Instinctively, they know that color is life. And unfortunately, society's sort of going to more neutral black or white. Like there's nothing wrong with those colors at all, but when it's overused, we're going into this neutral sort of non-feeling state.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, with people having to wear black a lot, that will sort of depress certain things in your immune system, in your psychology, or your way you feel. It can be depressive. So bringing color into your life, as children do, that's another way to connect, I feel. And, you know, having color in your house, play with color, you know, paint with it. Doesn't even have to make sense.
No.
It doesn't have to make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And you know, it's just, you can sit and you can have done a painting that, you know, nobody else can understand, but you can look at it and you can see the beauty in it and the connection in that painting that you've just done.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you don't do anything with it or you stick it up on the wall. It's like, you know, when your kids come home from school and they've done a drawing at school and you get a bit of blue tack and you put it on the refrigerator or on the wall or something. Do things like that. Lighten your life. Lighten your life. And I
Definitely.
agree thoroughly with you about colour. You know, I have my favourite colours. And it's disappointing when you look around at all the new suburbs that are being built and the houses are just, they're just all these plain colours. They're all the same colours. There's no variety. There's no individualism.
No.
And, you know, so.
And that's right. It's that conformative sort of thing. And yeah, the total interiors are white. Everything's white. Even the furniture's white. It's very clinical.
Yeah.
And hard. And you don't want to, like, as again, there's nothing wrong with white, but when it's so overused and so it doesn't feel good. It's not warm. It's not nurturing. It doesn't feel caring. People wanting calm, which is fine, but there are other colours you can use for that. But it's important to bring that into your auric field for your own self. It's energy, it's vibration, it's healing. So connect with your inner child definitely by colour is so important. So yeah, hopefully this is just a phase. I don't know. We're going through, but I've just noticed over the years how some people at work have to wear total top and pants or skirt. Everything's black, and that's 5 days a week, and that's hard. And I wonder if places, you know, if there are places that need creativity, fostering their creativity, that's not going to help.
No, this is it. Some days you'd like to go into a workplace and you would like to say, okay, let's change this and let's bring some paints in, or let's do some drawings at lunch break when everybody's sitting around. And the other thing too is everybody has to sit in these pods now. So, you know, they're all in this pod area. So everything is the same. It's all repeated. There's no individuality. And I think that's one of the things that would be nice to change in the world. I mean, personally, I love colours, and I especially love all the blues, and I love all of the turquoises and all of the pinks and all of that, and the oranges. I mean, when I got married many years ago, well, it was nearly 52 years ago now, my bridesmaids' dresses were burnt orange, you know, and everybody sort of bit shocked at this colour, and I said, I love it, I like it, and that's what they're going to be. And they look fantastic. I mean, most of the photos were black and white, so you couldn't see them, but you know, it's about you know, it's about your individuality, allowing your individuality to shine. Don't let it be sort of pushed down by other people, because, you know, we're all unique, we're all individuals, and it's about us. Even if we feel that we can't do things because of, say, some people we live with or whatever, but I'm sure we have a little quiet space that we can do our own little bright coloured things, that then it can start to grow from there as we nurture it.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. I mean, that's the thing. It's quite a funny situation. We're told, you know, it's great to be individual, yet there's so much conformity going on. So children are getting mixed messages about that, and you're owning a child. So it's crazy. It's rather silly, actually, more than silly. But yeah, and the other thing, I mean, kids love to be free.
Oh, yeah.
Kids love to be free. They don't want to conform. They just want to be themselves. And there's all of that is inside of us. But wanting to burst out, but there's that fear of what we're going to be judged or whatever. Yeah. So,
and
you know.
You need to learn to get over that. It doesn't matter what sort of your situation is in your family life. If you feel like doing something that you're worried other people won't like, well, how do you know they're not going to like it unless you do it?
That's true. And actually, years later, people can say, gee, I was always impressed when you did that, but they kept quiet at the time. So you just had to do it anyway. So, yeah, there's so many things. But another thing is dancing, of course, to bring out your inner child. A lot of people say, well, I can't dance. But it doesn't matter. You dance in the kitchen.
That's right.
Just let
you dance and you're singing and do all of those
exactly
kinds of things. Yeah, turn the music up loud and do all of that stuff, because this is about, you know, I always think that I want to get to the end of my life, which I hope is a long way off, but know that I gave the things a chance that I want to do. Like I haven't been this year because of COVID, but I do belly dancing, and I absolutely love it. you know, I don't do it to perform, I do it for exercise, but we get to
Mm.
dress up in these amazing costumes, and it's a whole thing. And when you look around, there are so many things that we can do. You know, I'm not one of these staid people. I love yoga, but I don't do yoga very well. So then I do belly dancing, and you know, it
Great.
doesn't matter if you're thin or you're fat or whatever, because most belly dancers have got, you know, a little bit of meat on them.
They
And you
do.
can let that inner child out, and the music is fantastic. So if you feel you want to do something, do it. Do it for you
Exactly.
and your
Yeah.
inner child.
Yeah. I mean, dancing, look at all the cultures. You know, the ancient cultures knew dance was such a powerful way of expression.
Hmm.
And the color, as I said, color is life. Look at the beautiful Indian culture there. There's
Yeah.
beautiful fabrics and there's saris. Like, it's a riot of color. It's just incredible.
Mm,
So it's so vibrant
yeah.
with life. And all the ancient cultures had that. So, you know, that was a powerful form of expression. So children are naturally drawn to that. So your inner child will love you if you just
Yeah.
start doing those things. But yeah, dance moves a lot of energy.
Mm,
When you move your body that way, it's powerful. You can feel it happening. So it's a great way to shed old things, or, you know, emotions or whatever. So kids love to dance.
yeah.
My grandkids love to dance. They're always dancing, so it's
Yeah.
great, you know. Um, and I'll dance with them, but it's the fun aspect, the joy that comes up with every
Yes.
situation like that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're feeling, sometimes if you're in a bad space, you know, you're not feeling great, you might not be able to dance or get
Mm,
up and do something like that, but you can find something to connect with that child. Go into just a quiet space and ask, what would help you right now? What would you like to do that would make you feel happy?
yeah. And it's interesting because Marcy has put on that. Let me see. She's been doing some art.
Yeah.
Um, and she loves orange and she loves red. I can't scroll up far enough at the moment. And she said she's done some painting, and one of her friends makes her sign all her art, no matter what it is. And then the next comment she makes further down says, I thought she was silly, but she has one of my dollar store butterfly paintings initialed and hung in her office. How
Oh,
beautiful is that? And
that's
what a
great.
wonderful, wonderful recognition that is. And
Yes,
she, you know, so it's really, it just goes to show that sometimes we put too great an expectation on ourselves. You know, we might have
exactly.
painted something that we don't think is all that great, but somebody can see, because it's come from our heart,
Yeah.
that it is special. And so, you know, don't put expectations on yourself. It's really important.
You know, yeah, absolutely. You just do it for the sake of it. It doesn't have to have an
Yeah,
outcome. Like,
yeah.
I've always been creative, but haven't done enough with it. And it's always sat there. More and more started to do things. And I actually started going to just an art school a few hours a week. And I know how that has helped my inner child. And just
Mm-hmm.
the the feeling of it, I can't put it into words, but that level of happiness that it does bring, because I'm really listening properly and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that that's a priority, because it
Yeah.
is a priority. You know, it's about a high value for me. It's one of my
Yes.
things,
And it,
understanding that.
yeah, and it's respecting and honouring yourself, because it's
Exactly.
something you feel that you know you want to do. Um, I know my art is quite terrible, but you know it doesn't mean I can not do it. I'm good at doing stick figures and things like that. But you know, Marcia has said that she didn't think she was good, but she's getting there with her paintings, and she didn't realise that she was creative until she realised that that's what she did with her gardens. So, you know, it doesn't always have to be a painting. It can be the
No,
garden. It can
all
be
sorts of things.
anything. Anything.
Absolutely anything. Yeah, we're all born creative.
Yeah.
Every child is born with a creativity, because you create this life. You're here creating every day. You're born with an imprint, but you create your life as you go.
Yeah.
So even acknowledging that is really important, that that's a part of you, that is you, but you just haven't learned how to bring it out or recognize it for one, and then build on that. And that's a very important part for your inner child, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
This,
definitely.
I think we've all got a genius inside us somewhere. And it's tapping into that. And I feel, you know, the creativity, the imagination, getting into your child's imagination is really quite important, because it builds on that. And, you know, you come up with ideas or anything in your life, or what you want to do, even that can lead you to what you want to do. You know, I've worked with people for a lot of years, and, you know, energy work and hypnotherapy and just guidance. And the amount of people who believe from a child that they weren't creative,
Yeah.
and just getting them to see that they actually are. So, you know, that gets shut down for whatever reason. So opening that up, and that's a healing in itself, because you realize you can create something in your life.
Yeah. Because
And
all too
so,
often we listen to people say to us, you know, you're no good at that. So don't waste your time on it or something. And then we take that to heart and we never do anything about it. So, you know,
yeah,
step out of that place.
we believe things. We all do, you know, because we think other people, adults particularly, know more than us.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't know things, but it's, I remember as a child, you know, in my family situation, you know, seeing one, being told one thing, or seeing one thing, being told another. And so
Yeah.
that, you shut down your inner knowing, your belief, what you're feeling, seeing, thinking is incorrect. What you're
Yeah.
seeing is incorrect. So again, you know, so many people would have lived through that
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. So acknowledging all these aspects of yourself, so it's believing in yourself, it is reconnected with your inner child as well.
Yeah.
And with that imagination also, I mean, I don't know about you, Carol Ann, but I love going to some of the kids' movies, of course. Some of
Oh,
them
I
are
love
great, you
them.
know.
They have great messages for adults in
They do.
children's movies. Yeah.
So that's a really great thing to do if you don't have children. See if you've got a relative that, you know, you can go with, or you know, if you're close enough, you can take the child. You'll offer to take them to the movies or something like that. You know, getting amongst kids opens you up and playing with them. Like, you allow yourself that
Yeah.
memory of being that child.
Yeah. And sometimes we
And
just need to bring that back to the surface.
yes, most definitely. Yeah. Um, you know, playing games is one way also. Like, I remember at Christmas time this year, my daughter-in-law, one of my daughter-in-law, she's a great game person, and she organised all these minute-to-win-it games. We had the best Christmas. It was so much fun and laughed so much.
Yeah.
And it just, that joy and that inner child play just bubbles up all the time. Do you like to play games, Carolyn?
Yeah, I like to play games, and I like to play card games, but that comes from
Yeah.
my childhood. We used to play card games a lot when I was a child. But yes, and I love to play cricket, which I'm absolutely hopeless at. And you know, I have a grandson who's very good at it, and a granddaughter. But it's just getting in and having the fun. And if you make an idiot of yourself, well, so what? You know, it's about participating. It's about laughing at yourself as much as anyone else. And just getting back to Marcia here, she's saying that one of the things, her reason for not being good enough was that she couldn't keep within the lines. It was too hard to try and not go outside the lines. Well, Marcy, welcome to my world. I used to do colouring in and I never got it in the lines. And when I was cutting things out, I could never cut on the line. But so what? You know,
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. And some people are really good at staying within the lines and cutting on the lines, and some aren't. And you know, but we have things that we do in other ways. So, you know,
Exactly.
don't be hard on yourself. I mean, I just laugh. Oh gosh, I've gone outside that line again. And the kids, when they were little, they would laugh as well. And oh, Nana's done that again. But you know, it's all part of it. It doesn't matter. We're not
No.
made to be perfect. We're magnificent. but we don't have to be perfect all the time.
No, exactly. I know in my art class, and
Mm.
the teachers talk about, you'll go through this whole process as you're going that, oh, I can't do this. I'm so hopeless at this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing this. I'm no good. And then you go, oh yeah, I've been through that. Put that to the side and just do it. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And
Yeah.
it's true.
That's
Definitely.
right.
Yeah. So yes, the perfectionist comes out because we want to please, we want to be accepted, and all those things. So more you recognize that, you can just go, oh, I hear you. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that. I'll put you to that side.
Well, this
Definitely.
is it, because then sometimes when I have been doing colouring outside the lines and that, I just think, oh, that's a child in me. So that's my inner child, and I'm just recognising that's a child in me, and then I usually laugh and have fun and go out the lines even more. you know, don't be hard on yourself. You're here to learn and to experience. And, that's, to me, is what it's all about. And, sometimes I just think if I make a mistake, oh, well, what did I learn from this, Caroline? And, okay, well, I won't do it quite that way again, but I'll still have fun doing it.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and I think it comes back to the conditioning that, God is a judging God. Ultimately, if you take it back even past your parents, and they would have got the same message, so there is no judgment in whatever we do. So it's really believing that and understanding that on a much deeper level. It's not just even about simple things. It goes quite deep with it all. So the more you can, nature isn't perfect.
No,
We think it's amazing. So we're part of that. We're made of the same stuff. We're
exactly.
energy.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's something I had to come to terms, more self-acceptance, because of all the different things that have gone on in my life. And the more you do it, the more peaceful you are, the more happy you are, and you're open to so many more things.
Mm.
And an open mind, children's minds are very open.
Yes, they are. And children are very honest.
Yes.
Adults aren't always as honest as children are. And, I think, talking about, nature not being perfect, like we've had a bit of rain and I looked out the garden and I thought, well, isn't it a pity that the plants and the flowers don't go quite as quickly as the weeds are growing at this minute. But then, then you look at that weed, and we have bees as well. And so, it's really interesting. The flowers on weeds, the bees absolutely love. They love the flowers on flowers. They love flowers as well. But, you sort of, I used to go around ripping out all of these weeds. And then one day I saw all of these bees and I thought, well, I don't really want the weeds to be growing there. I'd much rather a flower was there. But, what I'm saying is that this is what we always think. It has to be perfect. It has to be this, that, or the other. But, there's always a reason for something being there. There's a reason for the weeds. And and I'm sure you're like me, Tibet, people sort of think, oh, it's all right for you, you've got it all together and whatever. Well, hello, people. No, not necessarily, I have to tell you. It's been a really big journey, and it's a long journey, and I hope it's going to get longer. But, it has not always been perfect. But, it's what makes us who we are, and it's how we deal with what's happening.
Exactly. And speaking, that being perfect, with our animals, we love our animals. We love all their antics and what they do and don't do, what they get up to. I mean, yeah, they just love themselves. And, being around animals, I think, certainly helps that inner child as well. They're very soothing and comforting. There's such a love and their companionship. That certainly helps nurture the inner child for many people, I feel. I don't know, do you have pets?
I personally don't anymore have pets, but at the moment we're cat sitting our grandchildren's cats. They're away for a week. And so one is she's probably about 4 years old, and So she's quite content to laze around, climb up on top of our cupboards and all of these things. Whereas the little one, she's only about a year old. Well, she's full of mischief and all the rest of it. But it's wonderful having them here. But we used to have pets, but, you know, other than pet sitting for our grandchildren, no. But I know that animals are lovely. I always had it. My parents always had animals when we were growing up. So I grew up with dogs and cats and birds and all of those kinds of things. So
it's I mean it's cats and dogs, and you know they bring so much joy to your life, even when they're being naughty, that you know you can laugh at them. You know they give you that. But you know it's all animals as well. I mean, to connect with an animal like that, and that's where I see that innocence. That's when you can connect with them, because it's, you know, pure heart to heart type of thing. And I think if people can try and reconnect with them and with themselves in that way, even their animal sort of connections will probably be even greater. And it's a two-way street, obviously.
yeah.
You know, I see animals. Unfortunately, I can't have animals where I am. I haven't had one for a long time, but I wouldn't until I could do it properly. But you know, I've had animals years ago, and been in situations where there've been animals and just love them, and they do bring out the playfulness and joy, and they help you forget about trivial stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, as Anaya has just put a comment in, they're incredible at giving and receiving unconditional love, and that's so true, isn't it?
They are.
No matter what the animal is. And I mean, like, we have bees, but you could hardly call them pets, but you know, that's sort of like about the main ones that we have. But you know, when we're trying, if people are having trouble connecting with their inner child, to me, one of the best ways is to meditate. And you know, when we can meditate and connect with our inner child, and just start talking and communicating with them.
Yeah.
That's
I would agree.
Mm.
There's so many resources out there that you can work with, and people to work with. You know, I've worked with people with many inner child issues. Even, you know, for your own self, there's inner child healing cards you can buy. Even, you know, as an everyday thing, you know, pull a card or whatever you're working through. That's a great resource. But there's so many things out there to help you understand and connect to your inner child. It's just taking the steps to do it, and keep doing it.
Yes.
I would feel. So the last thing I'd like to say is get a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, with your inner child, and I always ask people, what did you used to love to do when you were a child?
Mm-hmm.
It might be different to what you've done now, or it might be the same. But it's interesting to look back at if you can remember what you love, because there's something there still, even from when you're a child to an adult, that connects you.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you used to love the most?
Well, I used to love, when I was young, and I used to do ballet dancing and tap dancing. I used to love that. And I was always a very bad tennis player, but I still had fun because it was about the communication. I sort of laugh at my hand-eye coordination, and nowadays I laugh at my hand-eye coordination when I'm trying to get things going on Angel Heart Radio and stuff like that, you know, and my technical skills, they're improving. They're a lot better than they were. So, you know, it's always a learning thing. So what did you love when you were a child?
Oh, yeah, I was trying to remember what you were saying. I remember sort of probably drawing and things like that. I did love probably music, painting and music, animals. We used to have a dog. I used to play with them and talk to them. I did tennis. I did love a bit of sport, but it's probably more the artistic things, more than anything that I do. I don't remember a lot sometimes, but that I do remember. Yeah. So I remember my imagination. I mean,
Yes.
kids
Yeah.
naturally are. So you make up all these scenarios and, little fantasy scenes and all that sort of thing. So I used to love doing that. So, there's things in that. It's like your imagination, maybe there's a book in there for people, or, just some sort of writing or music or anything. It's just,
Mm.
and if you can get into your subconscious, with hypnotherapy or something, or deep meditation. You can go in and ask, as you say, talk to your inner child.
Mm.
You'll probably get some interesting answers, I'd say, you
And
may not
and
expect.
unless you give it a try, you're never going to know, are you? And to me, imagination is the best skill that any of us can have.
Yes,
I truly believe that. And no matter what we're going to do in life, our imagination is the best skill we can have and work on.
it's true. I mean, Einstein always said that that was his greatest skill,
Oh,
was
yeah.
his imagination.
Mm.
And you think of all the movies or the ideas that have come up, people would have had to have started with their imagination. So it's really firing that up again and letting yourself dream. I don't know if that's the right word,
Mm-hmm.
with that, just explore that. So it's just opening the mind up. But yeah,
Yeah.
your imagination is huge. That creates everything around you all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's good or not, I don't know.
This is good. Everything has a reason. So,
Mm,
and sometimes if it's a negative something, okay, so why is this so? Why is this
yeah.
happening? And instead of being down on yourself for something happening, why? Why is this
Mm,
happening? What
yeah.
what can I learn and grow from it? Because that's what it's all about, us learning what we're here for, how we can
Yeah.
how we can be here for one another. And this is it, Marcia and anybody else who's out there watching. We've got Wendy and Gabby and a lot of other
Oh,
people
hi.
out here watching. So welcome everybody.
Yeah,
So
welcome.
it's all about us looking after ourselves and growing and just doing the best we can. And if we get it wrong, well, oh jolly well, I can have another go at it. If not, I wasn't meant to do that. So
Exactly. Yeah. I guess the key thing is just find ways to tap into that inner child and get the imagination going and play,
yeah,
um, and get in places where probably nature is a big factor, but if you can't get there, it's creating that in your mind and just letting yourself do what you feel.
yeah,
And it's not wrong. It can be anything. And
mm,
even if you've got the closest person to you in your life, they're not going to be the same or think the same as you or
no,
believe the same things, and that's okay. Everyone has their differences. So, it's allowing whatever's in there to validate that, because a lot of, children aren't heard or seen. So,
yeah,
you can squash that imagination down. So now is the time to bring it out,
yeah, yeah.
definitely, and allow the freedom which is naturally ours, but sometimes we don't think we're free to be
No, no.
ourselves.
And that's a mindset we put on ourselves, isn't it? So, that's a mindset that we can change.
Yes.
So,
It's really understanding your beliefs as a child. You go in and really look deeply at what your true beliefs are, what you've been told, to what is actually real,
mm,
what is the truth. There
yeah,
can be a great deal of differences. So you can free yourself from those limiting beliefs in that way. So you do have more freedom. Your inner child
yeah,
does have more freedom to play, most definitely. That's an important step. If you don't know your beliefs, then you still get locked in to the limitations that you've been conditioned with growing up. And that's a constant process, as you know, Caroline. Life never stops. You never get to the end of that. It's just an ongoing thing. So you can relax with the fact that you haven't dealt with everything, or you don't know everything, or you haven't healed everything. It's an ongoing process, and it doesn't stop even when you pass over to the other realities. It keeps
and
going.
this is it. It doesn't stop. And the wonderful thing about all of that is that, what is time? You know, there's no time in spirit, and we harness ourselves up to a time here. And yes, we have things we have to do in time, because if we've got to catch a train, or we want to go to the movies to see Kung Fu Panda or some exciting, I love the Kung Fu movies with the kids. You know, we have to have some time. But as regards other things, we put too many time restrictions on ourselves.
Time is changing, and I think we're all getting, we're starting to feel the breakdown of what we think is time, because the energy is changing. So things are stretching or going quickly. Depends on our focus. I mean, this might be another show to talk about. Definitely.
And you know, talking about time, I don't know if you can see what the time is.
Yes, I know.
We're running. We're sort of
gone very quickly.
It does go quickly once you get started. I know that Anaya used to say that to me, and I used to think, oh, I don't know. Long, Anaya. What are we going to talk about? And then I would let Anaya do most of the talking, and then she'd say, oh, you've got to talk. Sometimes she probably wishes now, we should be quiet.
Yeah, so again, like trying to fit everything in, then a child sort of just wants to play. But yeah, we do have things we have to do, but in the end, you know, we're here to be happy as much as we can, and knowing your inner child and understanding your inner child will certainly help that happiness a great deal, more than you probably thought possible. Yeah. It's true. Yes.
Yeah, and you know, always remember we're here. You know, if you have questions, if you want to know anything more, you know, you will find us on angellight777.com, Angel Heart Radio, Angel Heart Radio Facebook page, everything. Yes. So, you know.
And I'd love to hear your feedback, and again, if there's anything, any topic that anyone would really love to for us to talk about and share, please just put it in the messages there. That'd be great. Yeah. We do value what you want to know, what you're interested in. So yeah. So yeah, it's been another, gosh, I can't believe how quickly that's gone, Carol-Ann.
No, it has gone quickly, and you know, considering just about 15 minutes before we're here, I didn't even know I was going to be here with you. So that's right. Well.
Carol-Ann was making her lovely salmon and potato cakes. She went, well, okay, I'm on now. And thank you so much for doing that. It's been lovely to have you as my co-host today. It's been great.
It's been wonderful. I've loved being here. It's always good for us to do something unexpected and to just to be here with our wonderful people on Restream, and you know, to Beth, I know what it feels like when you first get started, and so it's always nice to sort of know there's somebody else there who can support you, and you're doing a wonderful job, and you know, as you said, you know, some of these things might be another show. So that's
yes, definitely. Yes. Yes. So that will that's the spontaneity of the inner child of going, oh yes, we could do this. So yeah, the spontaneity, that's another thing. So yeah, definitely I did lots of ideas, and yeah, I hope people find it interesting as always.
Yeah, and we will go through and we will make notes on the comments that people have made.
Yes, we'll answer them. Definitely get to answer them today or tomorrow for sure. If there's any questions anyone has, be very happy to answer them for you. So yes, so I hope everyone is well and happy where they are.
Yeah.
Wherever that may be. We're sort of sweltering here in Queensland today.
Yes, it's very steamy here today, isn't it?
So yes, well, farewell, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. And Carol-Ann, thank you again so much. And
my pleasure.
Bye for now. We'll see you next time.
Bye for now, everyone.